This one, I know the work is gone, but with this one, we had to pull out the GCF first. Okay, that's it for these two examples. What we've seen in the past. So the previous examples, we had something with two terms. I believe we had like a 9x squared minus 27x, and in this one we pulled out the GCF. The other one I forget exactly what it was. Might have been plus 3x minus 4, and we went ahead and we factored this by seeing what two numbers multiplied to negative 4 but added to positive 3. This one's actually a combination of both. If you'll notice here, every term has an x. It's not a quadratic, so I cannot factor it like this one. I have to use a combination of the greatest common factor and factoring a quadratic. I notice because what they all have in common is an x. So when you see this cube, that's your hint to see, okay, I need to pull out an x out of this guy. So that's the first thing that we're going to do. We're going to pull out an x. So if I take an x away from everybody, it leaves me with this. And now, since I pulled out this GCF, I now have this quadratic that I can factor like we did in this example from right here. And so I'm going to ask myself, okay, what two numbers multiply to 12 but also add to this? So they're going to multiply and add. So two numbers that multiply to 12, this is just kind of my work in my head, so I'm going to do that right here. Well, I know 3 and 4 multiply to 12, and they also add to a positive 7. Make them both negative. Negative times a negative is positive. Negative 3 plus a negative 4 is a negative 7. So at this point, I can go ahead and factor what's on the inside. Now be careful. I want this in factored form. I need to leave that x. Okay? Don't drop that x because that's part of it. And we can go ahead and work backwards, and we determine that we've arrived at the same answer. This is factored form. And this guy right here is standard form. Okay, we're going to do one more. The idea with this example is we see how it's written. It's not in standard form, so the first thing that I am going to do is I'm going to go ahead and rewrite it in standard form. Just visually it makes it easier for me. And then I'm going to look at my last number, include the negative. This is what multiplies. Let me erase that because it looks like it's an x. What multiplies to this but adds to negative 1. So I think about my factors. It needs to be a negative 30. I know if I combine negative 6 and 5 that I'm going to get these guys multiplied together as a negative 30 and added together as a negative 1. So these two guys create my factors. X minus 6, x plus 5. And you can distribute and work backwards, and that'll get you back to our, once again, this guy that I just circled is standard form. This guy is factored form. So if I ask for factored form, I want this. If I ask for standard form, I want this. And those are just two quick examples on graphing, or excuse me, not graphing, on factoring.